why is it that therapy doesn't seem to work for a lot of men? And the thing is that there seems to be a lot of systemic biases that are working against men. I do want to start with saying that I'm not a licensed therapist or anything like that. I'm just a passionate guy with opinions that I want to share to the world. So take what I say with a grain of salt. But these are topics that are really important to me because society is important to me and mental health is important to me. And one of the things that we have to look at when it comes to therapy in men is that in history, the majority of the patients in psychotherapy, about 60 to 70%, are women. And today, most of the patients that engage in psychotherapy and talk therapy are women. And also throughout history, most of the therapists, around again 60 to 70%, are also women. So over time, there is this natural bias of what works for the average patient. But because the numbers are so highly inclined towards women when it comes to both the patients and the therapists, we don't actually know exactly what it is that actually helps men. We know what helps the average of all these patients, most of which have been women. You know, there's this widespread belief that talk therapy is the gold standard form of therapy. But the thing is that we don't know this for a fact. And of course, therapy is very, very valuable, but it doesn't seem to account for the unique ways that men deal with their emotions or the way that men express their emotions. So something that is interesting, even if you think day-to-day life, it seems that women do engage in this more natural form of talk therapy in general, just in the way that they socialize. So you have women that they hang out as a group of friends, or maybe they have girls' nights, and women are more likely to talk about, you know, their emotions and their feelings and what's going on in their life. Or if they have a breakup, they're more likely to have a friend who's going to talk about how she feels in the moment, maybe things that led up to that moment, and to really dive deep about how that is affecting her. And that is something that women tend to do more naturally. But again, going off a little bit off of stereotypes here. But if you have two guys, what is more likely to happen is one of the friends just went to a breakup. The buddy's probably gonna say, you know what, let's go fishing. Let's get your mind off of this and let's go fishing. Or let's go on a camping trip. Let's go skiing. So men are more likely to let go of those emotions by putting it into something else. And the thing is that these are things that we haven't quite studied or accounted for. And this bias in psychotherapy, it seems to be working against men. And I just want to throw it out there. And women have also been really affected by biases against them in the medical field. And an example of this is, for example, there was many drugs that were only tested on male mice. And in human trials, there were a number of trials that were only tested on men because researchers didn't want to deal with the hassle of dealing with the hormone fluctuation in the menstrual cycle and how that would affect the results. But the thing is that that is half of the population. That is 50% of the population. So there's a lot of medicines that we know for a fact work quite well on men, but then, you know, a very big part of a woman's biology is the cycle and this fluctuation in hormones throughout the month. So then women have been really affected by biases in other ways in the medical field. And that is something that I think is very important to acknowledge, which is why I'm mentioning it. But something that we have to acknowledge as well is how men are affected as well. And when it comes to men and psychotherapy, there does seem to be a number of potential blind spots that we should talk about. And the reason this is really important as well is because if you look at suicide, it's really concerning that 50% of men that do end up taking their own life, they have no history of mental illness. And the thing is that men tend to be more logical. So maybe they're thinking, oh, my career's not going well, or my family situation isn't good, or I don't have a family, or whatever it may be. And then they think it just makes more logical sense if I am not here anymore. So I think because the way that men, they tend to be like more logical in the way that they think about things, and then they don't tend to talk about their feelings in the same way, and they express different things that they're dealing with more through action versus talk therapy. This is why it's important for the field of psychotherapy to start to research this and to look into what are the ways that men can benefit more from therapy and what are the things that we need to change. Because clearly when you look at like the suicide rates, these are numbers that are very, very concerning, and there seems to be a more natural reluctancy for men to express their emotions. And the thing is, it's hard to say how much of this is biology, evolutionary, how much of it is cultural, whatever it may be. I think it is important for us to start having this discussion and talk about what we can do. Because at the end of the day, if everybody's able to have mental health support and therapy that it is best suited for them, that is going to be better for everybody. It's not only going to be better for the men, but it's going to be better for the women in their lives, or if someone's engaging in like couples counseling or whatever it may be. When you have a system that can equally help men and women, again, it's not just going to be good for the men, it's going to be good for the wives of those men or the husbands of those men, and it's going to be good for the children, it's going to be good for the family. It's going to be able to help everybody, because when you have one family member that is successfully helped and successfully has good mental health support through therapy or other methods, that is not only going to help that individual, but it's going to help the entire family. So I think it is in the best benefit of society and in the best benefit of humanity, especially now since we're going through a mental health crisis and we're going through a loneliness epidemic, which is affecting men more. So there's been a fivefold increase of men who have zero close friends since the 1990s. And women are also really being affected by the modern age and social media and technology. These are all things that I talk about a lot. And I want the best for everybody, for men and women and everybody. And it is important that these conversations happen, because if we have therapy that is able to help all people, it is not only helpful for that individual, but it is helpful for everybody in that person's life. And I think we can all benefit from a society that is able to deal with a lot of the mental health issues that we deal with today, and the depression, the anxiety, the feeling of helplessness and hopelessness. And if we can improve, because if we can improve therapy for everybody, it is going to lead to the betterment of a lot of family structures and to the betterment of society. If you like what I have to say, I like to post a lot of content like this. And please subscribe, because I'll be posting some more of my thoughts. And I appreciate everybody that comes here, whether you agree with me or not. I'm just a small creator, and the only thing that is important is that more people become aware of these issues. Because at the end of the day, the only thing that I am really passionate about right now is the betterment of society. And if that starts with a conversation, I feel like we're on the path to helping a society that's struggling and helping a lot of people that are struggling.